So we actually didn't really do a wait list. So when I built the first version, I just really simple landing page, like one page website, published it and actually just ran some ads to it. And that was how we
Sweet.
got the first couple customers. Was like super targeted Facebook ads. So we knew the exact ICP of who we wanted to hit, and we got super narrow. So there were only like 7,000 people that could even be targeted to in the ad campaign. Um, so got a few folks from that, and then the price of ads started to get pretty expensive. I know we've touched on this before. I think with the election cycle, there's a lot more aggressive buying of huge chunks of ad space. So paused ads and switched to some cold outreach methods, um, and got the last few folks from cold outreach. And then going forward, we'll do a hybrid approach of different methods and continue to bring on new channels um, as we drill down each one and can kind of automate that.
That's awesome, dude. Okay, cool. So you started out with Facebook ads. That's really interesting. Because I know it's a little bit more of like it can be a higher risk, higher reward because you can scale it up really fast if you have the budget and stuff like that. But like the most important part is the targeting. So it's cool to hear that, you narrowed it down to 7,000 people out of the hundreds of millions on Facebook. And then you were able to just deliver, I'm assuming really, really good creative and really good ad copy to them and got them to a landing page and converted them from there.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think the ad creative was that good.
Okay, interesting.
Um, but it's a very targeted solution to a very targeted problem. And so I think that was the big um, differentiator, is just a very narrow net in a very small pond, but you know what
And
you're
just
fishing for.
Sure. And just so the relevance, basically, like you were just delivering something super relevant to who was seeing the ad.
Yeah. So we did some carousel ads and we would highlight one word in each carousel. But it's like a word that would stand out that would hook someone in this target group. So like it's enough to get them to pause. And if they read the first carousel, they've validated themselves whether or not they fall into that category. Like whether or not this product can help them, they know first slide. So if they, skim through the rest of the slides, the likelihood that they'll at least go to the website is pretty high. Um, and then from there, we've talked about uh, my website does not convert particularly well, but if you have a high converting website and you get ads where people can pre-qualify themselves almost instantly, I do think that's a pretty effective funnel.
That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So that's really interesting, dude, because one thing I know we've both been working on outreach a lot too, and the relevance was just the number one thing to draw their attention. We'll hook them, of course, and draw the attention, but even throughout the funnel down to the conversion, if it was just hyper relevant, it was allowing us to be way more direct with people and shorten the funnel a little bit versus what traditionally kind of works, which is maybe starting a conversation, asking questions, and going from there. We were able to sort of like spearfish people almost with, outbound on LinkedIn. And I know that's sort of an emerging strategy for you. How's that going so far?
It's going really well, really well. And I actually got a couple of new follow-ups this morning already
That's awesome.
from some stuff, late in the week last week. And to your point, I think part of the reason that it works so well, if you can really narrow down your ICP and ask a targeted, relevant question in the beginning, I think part of the reason that's so successful is it shows that you know what you're talking about. Um, Whereas like there are so many people everyone's probably getting hit with, hundreds of messages a day, of just like, and, that's email, text, cold DMs, miscellaneous notifications on your phone. Like, so an easy way to stand out is just to ask a question that you know is super direct for that person. And they know, like, okay, this person, they know what they're talking about. They're not just wasting my time, spinning my wheels. So that's at least what I've seen the last few weeks, and going to continue to press that until it's no longer, until it stops working.
Yeah, 100%, dude. Yeah, same here. I mean, I've been using like LinkedIn specifically for outreach for like 2 years, a little bit over 2 years now. And it's an awesome, awesome channel. And anything that allows you to like pull a really, really targeted list using, Sales Nav or something like that. And of course, we can even get into like I think, where did you get that one list? Was it Apollo?
No, it was like some miscellaneous company
Gotcha.
online. So I was looking for like companies that use certain tech stacks. Um, and this company said they could pull a lead list for me that met all of my criteria. And they promised to have more advanced criteria than Sales Navigator, but
Mm,
that was not the case. And the leads were garbage. So to date, I haven't gotten a single response out of that lead list.
yeah.
Um, you live and you learn. That was the first time I really bought leads. So I just didn't know any better.
For sure. No, I've done the same thing. I've even used, some of the more well-known platforms, and I think they work pretty well for like email or something like that. But I remember the same thing, just like the connection rate was really, really low. Like they just weren't active on LinkedIn. And that's something that I think Sales Nav kind of filters that out a little bit. I don't think it's something that they make clear, but like our Sales Nav list have done really, really well. Like it pulls people that are active on LinkedIn. You get great responses, great connection rates and stuff like that. And as long as you can pull that really, really targeted list, right, and then hit them with that direct, super relevant copy, it's an incredible channel. And when you automate it up to, 40 requests a day or 50 messages a day or something like that, it can actually be an insanely high volume channel too when you dial it in. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is. So last week, I tested a couple of tools to streamline some things. This week, I'm actually going to dial that back and do more by hand and see if I can get even more targeted. Um, but to your point, one of my favorite things about Sales Nav is you can toggle a have they posted on LinkedIn like flag. And that filters out a ton of folks who maybe like made a profile, but they never get on it. And then they'll tell you, like 2 recent posts on LinkedIn, something like that. So
That is
um,
awesome.
it's a really good way to tell, maybe they're not on it every day, but they've been on it in the last week or two. So they're going to see this, in a week or 2 weeks. Um, I will also say, have found the response cycle is longer on LinkedIn than something like Twitter. But I think that's probably a good thing. There are a lot of people who spend a lot of time on Twitter, but they're not like, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're your ideal customer just because they're active and easier to get in touch with, like through a different channel. Um,
Right.
and at least for me, going B2B, I've found that LinkedIn, you get maybe more serious prospects